It's the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. Welcome back to another episode here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network. We have with us none other than Coach HEISH Northern. Coach, how you doing this week, sir?
Oh, everything's going pretty good. More of that training camp mode. Been getting some good words from some of the coaches. Say some interesting battles going on at different spots. In particular, either the first string quarterback spots or who's going to be the second or third guy at a couple schools. Like I say, when you at a Texas Southern, you already know who number one is. So now you got to make sure that your twos and threes get ready just in case. You have a problem here or there with, early in the season you may get some guys with some cramping situations. So you got to make sure that your guys are always ready to go. And then the other thing that's going on, most people have now finished either their first or second scrimmage. Most people's last scrimmage will be this Saturday. So after that, then most people will get in the game playing mode, with the exception of Jackson State, because they play a week before everybody. So most of the coaches are now getting into that, okay, we've done our install. Let's see what do we need to go back over. Let's see what situational football that we need to work on, whether it's our 2-minute drives, our 4-minute drive, the special teams, punting out of the end zone, punting into the end zone. So it's a whole lot of small scenarios that everybody's going back through now to try to, start fine-tuning and getting ready for that first game.
Now, Coach, you just made mention where everybody's getting their final touches put for season kickoff. How challenging is it for defenses, especially today, the way the rules are tapered, and how long does it take them to get caught up to the offenses in the early part of the season? By what week do you start seeing your defenses strive and quicken?
Well, usually I would say about the second or third week. Now, the X factor that you have to count on, though, is how good is your defensive line. If your defensive line is very good, then you can see some people playing better defense than others, whether they can stop the run with 4 people, maybe 5, sending some, or we may call some token pressure, just sending the extra guy every now and then, or if you want to have, how do you want to play against the run? Do you want to get upfield penetration with those guys? Do you want to get a little bit of penetration, then read and react to what you see? But if you have a good defensive line, that can speed up the process for everybody else, because if you have a real good defensive line, now the offensive line can't get to your linebackers in some of the run schemes that you see, or the good defensive line will make the quarterback have to throw the ball faster, and you may end up with some tip balls, some balls that may be overthrown, and now your secondary guys, they look like world beaters, but because they have their real good defensive line up front, they can make the difference. Like I say, they'll make you a lot better if your defensive line, especially, they can get some penetration, since most teams now are doing some zone stuff, some zone read option stuff. But you don't see traps anymore. You don't see too much counter, but some people will run it. But that inside trap, it doesn't slow people down like it used to, because now it's let's get penetration and like I say, stop the run on the way to the quarterback.
Absolutely, and that's why they say the game is won and lost in the trenches on both sides of the ball. And the thing about it, and on our level in particular, has been depth. But with the transfer portal, that has somewhat been answered. But now you have too much depth. Guys feel like they're not getting enough playing time, and off to the portal they go.
Yeah, like I say, from a coaching standpoint, you never have too much depth. But from a player standpoint, just say if you're playing certain positions, it's not enough to go around for everybody to get functional reps. So most people don't rotate offensive linemen, no matter, once they get that set 5, unless somebody get hurt, you don't see people come in. Now you see a lot of people rotating in defensive linemen. So most people going to travel 8 to 10 defensive linemen, because you'll see first and second down, you may see one defensive line. Then on third down, you'll see a whole nother group of guys that are coming in. Or some people, because of the tempo offense, they may say, okay, every third play we're going to switch. Or they may say every time it's an incomplete pass, because that slows down the offense, we'll bring in a new defensive line. So you have some built-in things to rotate people. I know when I was coaching at Grambling as well as at Prairie View, we had a deal where if the defense scored a touchdown, the immediate play after the next kickoff, the second team defense was going to go in the game automatically, because if the first string defense scored, those guys were going to be very tired. But we would tell them if you were in, you still had to play on special teams if you were on the kickoff team. So, but that's just another way. And then we would tell, hey, man, the second string guys, you stay in until the starter comes and gets you. But we would try to tell our starters, hey, let's try to be back in 3 plays or something like that. But, you know, sometimes the second team defense, they get so hungry and get in there, they'll actually do a good job. And you can tell your starters, okay, let's wait until the other team, if they get a first down or if they break a long play or if we just have a bust, then we'll keep our tools in. So it's different ways to get depth in the ball game, but you don't see a whole lot of depth on the offensive line. But them defensive linemen, you better have 8 to 10 of them serviceable that can get in and just not give up big plays.
Absolutely. We're talking right now with Coach HEISH Northern, football analyst here from the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Now, Coach, we have 4 new coaches this season starting off in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. And I know you got a little history with T.C. Taylor from Jackson State. What I found unfair during the SWAC Media Day last month, a lot of questions were asked about how it feels to replace Deion, what it's like being without Deion, as if he was a novice to football and this conference in particular. And I know you probably can't answer this, but maybe you can give a better picture for this. How much pressure is on him coming in behind a guy like Deion Sanders at Jackson State?
Well, it's the old saying in coaching, you don't want to be the guy that follows the guy. You want to be the third guy or second guy that comes in once somebody comes in and does a whirlwind job. So just say, I went to Grambling right after Eddie Robinson retired with Doug Williams, and a lot of people were trying to tell Doug, hey, don't take this job. Well, he took the job sort of thinking that Grambling was initially going to be on probation. When that didn't happen, it became a much better job following Eddie Robinson. They were coming off, 3-8 seasons. So it's a little bit different if you're coming in behind Eddie Robinson, who had went 9-2 or something like that. But, you know, coming in behind Coach Sanders, with the name itself, it can draw some people to and push some people away, if you understand what I'm saying. So for Coach Taylor, it's still a draw, but some people, their focus is still on what happened in the past, and hopefully he and his guys can get past that, you know, every question being about Coach Sanders. And like I say, I am a SWAC guy through and through. Coach Taylor has worked at a couple SWAC schools as well as played in the SWAC. So now, like I say, I'm pulling for him to do well for the simple fact that he is what we might say an HBCU lifer, a guy that has coached at MEAC, SWAC, Division II, you know, you name it, he's coached in it. But like I say, I'm pulling for a guy like that. Not that I wasn't pulling for Coach Sanders, but I pull a little bit more for guys that, you know, people may say, well, guys need to get out of the SWAC. Nah, not necessarily, because you see people at other schools, they're not told to leave X, Y, Z. You understand what I'm saying? So, but right. I'm pulling for Coach Taylor, and hopefully he and his team, I think he's already moved on past that. Now, whether or not his team, his players, and, you know, it may be something that he may want to address, hey, not in a negative way, but, hey, let's move on past it. Coach did his, you know, like they say, he did his thing while he was there, but he is no longer here. So let's focus on the next. Like I say, let's focus on the win. What's important now? Let's focus on that.
Right. You know, there's an old saying that the same things that make you laugh end up making you cry. And quickly, JSU was able to benefit from the portal, and just as quickly as they've come, a lot of personnel has changed, which is always indication that not necessarily that anything is wrong, but the change is always in the air. And then when you look at the first 4 games, Coach, and I caught a lot of heat from Jackson State fan base the other day. Not that you wishing it, but it wouldn't be surprised if they started out 0-4. You got not San Diego, I don't know where that comes from, but you got South Carolina State. Then you go and take on the likes of Texas College. Then you have, FAMU, then Texas College, and then Southern University. That's not an easy path to open up a season with, Coach.
No, it actually isn't. You know, it's going to be some decisions that's going to have to be made, and hopefully they work out for a coach in a hurry, because if that thing gets to going bad, then a lot of people going to turn over, oh, we shouldn't have did this, or we should have brought in this guy, we should have went outside the SWAC and all that type of stuff. So, like I say, for his sake, I hope it does get off well, because if it doesn't, that thing, it can sort of snowball you. That one team that you lose to now, because everybody talking about what happened in the past, can catch up to you the next week. And he didn't lose slouches now. Like, you think about it, he lost his starting quarterback, probably the best two-way recruit that's been out there in a long time. You lost Coach Sanders' other son that was starting safety for him. You lost maybe 2 guys that went to the NFL. Anytime you lose that type of talent, whether it's, you know, through transfer or the NFL, that can be a load to try to replace. And they lost some real good defensive line. And what they did on the defensive line last year, to me, that wasn't the hardest thing to coach defense over. They're like, hey, y'all see that brown thing somebody running around with? Go get it, guys.
And go get them, hunt them down.
And we call it, hey, you could play that cat defense, you know, you got that cat, you got that cat, you got that one, and stop the run on the way to the quarterback. And that's pretty much what they did. It wasn't a lot of fancy stuff. It was, we gonna beat you with these 4 guys up front, and we can send 5 or 6 if we want to, but we really don't have to. But I mean, they just flat out got after people. If you looked at the film, it looked more like the old Florida States and Miami's, where they could play whatever they wanted coverage-wise and say, okay, our 4 up front are better than your 5 that's supposed to be stopping them on their way to the quarterback.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's always, as you mentioned earlier, those guys up front on that defensive side can apply the pressure, and you can do just about whatever you want on any given play. Now, Coach, as we get closer, hello?
Yes.
Okay. Coach, as we get closer to the start of this kickoff thing, you got, of course, the Labor Day Classic, which is going to be the 38th annual Labor Day Classic. And I know that was always the set-it-off game for Prairie View and Texas Southern. You're getting on the countdown right now. You're walking through, you fine-tuning your plays, and you're getting this, that, and everything together. What is the most challenging part at this stage other than the obvious?
The most challenging part is the unknown. So Texas Southern has a new defensive coordinator who's been in the conference before, and you have an idea.
You went up and you said, again, new defense coordinator who's been in and he went out.
So Texas Southern has a new defensive coordinator that's been in the conference before, and you have an idea of what he likes to do, but say Coach McKinnon may not want to do some of the things that he's done at other places. So you have a basis of what he wants to do. Prairie View has a new defensive coordinator who's been in a variety of schemes. He's been around some 3-4 defenses. He's been around some 4-2-5 guys. So now Texas Southern doesn't exactly know what they're going to see, what their offense is going to see. So now they have to prepare for 3-4. Now they have to prepare for some 4-2-5 or 4-3 stuff. So it's all those little unknown things that'll make you have to prepare for just sort of everything. And you'll go into the game and say, okay, let's put these formations out there, and let's see how do they line up to this. All right, when they do this, let's do that. Or if you know a coach a little bit, say, okay, let's see if he holds true to his old tendencies, or has he changed much as far as liking the blitz on first down, liking the blitz on third down. So those are the types of things that, like I say, you don't know, until maybe about midway of the second quarter. Sometimes you can get a feel for what is going on, or what do they like to do in certain situations.
Coach, I have this question that I ask most of my coaches, but because I guess they're currently coaching, they somewhat deflect it, so I'll ask you. I understand the depth chart, and I understand that maybe you want to secure the depth chart, but why are we so protected when it comes to the depth chart?
Because in certain schools, especially if you have a returner at the quarterback spot, if you have film on that guy, you can say, okay, this is what they like to do with that guy. So a lot of people, that's the biggest unknown, unhidden secret in the world, because now you have some guys on the team, or even that quarterback, if they get on huddle, they may load up a clip from their to their Instagram, and now you have part of what's being seen at practice out there for everybody to see. So it's the, I don't want to give them an edge on exactly how to prepare for the guy that's going to be under center. So that's one thing why I think some people are so protected. And then the other thing is, you don't know, all right, if you have a guy that may be injured, is he on the depth chart? Or, such and such towards ACL last year, did he make it back? Is he on the depth chart? Or, a lot of these coaches know each other. They may play golf once or twice with each other, talk on the phone. So you recruited some of those guys, so you may get word, hey man, I heard such and such having grade issues. So now you don't know if that guy's going to be out there or not. If you don't see the depth chart, you sort of have to prepare for more of the returning guys, unless you see a guy get a transfer. But especially at the wide receiver spot, if a guy gets a real good transfer at wide receiver, like, I wonder how are they going to use that kid in their offense. So it is what it is. I don't know where it started, but people have open practices now, so you can see certain things. Some people might send a high school coach that went to school at Texas Southern that works in Waller may go up to watch Prairie View practice and, oh, coach, I saw this. If he has any relationship with Coach McKinney, hey, what you saw down there? So, it's all those types of, spy games that people play to try to get any little bit of info. I've heard stories about, just say at Southern University, it is some apartments right across the street from the practice field. At one time, the coaches would be paranoid if they saw somebody watching practice from the balcony or something of those apartment buildings and different things like that. So, it's espionage at its finest, as they say.
Well, I was thinking maybe you can answer this as well. Would it be considered unethical if you put out a dummy depth chart to get people focused on that, and then you have something totally in the back of your mind go the opposite direction?
Well, I know I have seen depth charts that are nowhere near what was supposed to be out there. I remember one year, I want to say it was Alabama State sent a depth chart to us at Grambling because we were recruiting some of the same transfers, and they got them. And they sent the depth chart as soon as the guys got there, like almost like, hey, we got these guys. But a couple of them didn't make it to the field because of grade issues. So you have different things like that. Or that you just put, hey, man, just put anything down there and get the sports information director out of the office, unless you have a guy that's all swag or something that's returning. So I have seen dummy depth charts. I have seen, guys put a trick play out there. I have seen guys act like they running an option or something like that. Oh, now we got to prepare for that if you're on the defensive side. I mean, I've seen it in pregame. You're like, I know these people not going to run the option, but because the head coach or somebody sees it, he's over there like, hey, man, what's your plan if they do come out and run the option or something like that? So it's all kind of, like say, fakery and trickery or trickeration, that coaches' mind games that people try to play with each other, especially before the first game.
Yes, sir. And the truth be told, when the dust settles, coach, they still have to execute. Regardless if you know my depth chart, if you know my plays, you still got to execute, though, right?
And that's what I would tell guys, especially when I coach high school ball, they would say, well, coach, they know our plays are, hey, they calling out what we're going to do. It don't matter. The very good teams run the same plays pretty much over and over out of different formations. So it's all about execution. Are we gonna double team up to the linebacker if we run an inside zone? Or are we gonna protect our quarterback? Or if it's a 3-step drop, are we gonna block for a second and then cut to make the guys get his hand down so the ball don't get better? It's all those little small things that go into winning football games. Everybody knows what everybody's doing, but it's still a matter of execution, and can you execute the game plan when you time.
All right, we're talking again with Coach HEISH, Northern football analyst here from the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Now, Coach, you teased us last week about quarterback competition throughout the conference. I know what Body is quite capable of at Texas Southern. Are you getting any other reports on what things looking like around the conference?
Yeah, without getting too specific with some schools, but I know it's some good battles going on at a couple schools between the 1 and 2 still, and then it's a couple where they say, okay, we know we got this guy that played a lot for us, but if he struggles, which 2, if 2 and 3 are real close, which one? You may want somebody that's totally opposite of your starter. That just say if you have a quarterback that's not much of a scrambler, you may say, okay, let's have us a good athlete back there. Somebody that can open the running game up with some quarterback counters, some power read game. Or you may say, let's keep the second team guy as close to the first team guy so we don't have to try to put a package together for our second team guy. So let's try to make sure that this guy knows is comfortable with these plays that we have already in our playbook. Then you may say, okay, if we get in a short yardage situation, let's bring this guy in, and now you don't have to change as much. I remember one year at Grambling, Bruce Eugene got hurt, and we had a freshman from Monroe that was our backup quarterback, and he came in. He was way more athletic than Bruce, but he didn't understand the offense so well. So we took a certain amount of plays from his high school, and we changed the name of the plays to what we ran for our quarterback. So we said, okay, normally this route is going to be called 173 right out of trips, but he called it Kansas City. So everybody had to learn what Kansas City was based off of let's make our freshman quarterback comfortable. You understand what I'm saying? So some people will do that. Let's find 3 or 4 passing plays that he really likes, and even if you have to change the name of it, hey guys, he would go 2-minute offense, and he would call it and pretty much teach it to our guys. So that's the way you have to do things sometimes if you have a second or third team quarterback battle going on.
Yeah, so
how are we going to handle that situation?
You brought up Bruce Eugene, man, and the kid was built uniquely, but he sure got things done on the field, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Like I said before, he was one of the smartest football players I've ever been around in my life, and I've been around quite a few smart ones. But when it came to X's and O's and diagnosing what's going on from a quarterback perspective, he could do it with the best of them.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, as you are making these adjustments, you're getting guys ready for the execution part, because like you say, it doesn't matter if they know if it's coming. We got 4 or 5 bread and butter plays. We're going to either run it to the left, to the right, or right down your throat. So make a necessary adjustment. When you get to that final day and you got kids on the bubble and you say your 2 is real close to your 1 and vice versa, sometimes the difference is in how these guys react, because some are all SWAC, all American at practice, but when the lights come on, it's a totally different atmosphere. Why is that?
Man, we call them T-shirt All-Americans. They gonna look the part. They gonna, if you go out there and just doing 7-on-7, they gonna finish with 3 or 4 interceptions. But once the lights come on and you hitting some guys that you don't know, it changes for some people. Then you have to factor in too, just say the conditioning aspect. If you have a guy that may be going into, say, his sophomore year, as a freshman, he played a lot, and now that guy is starting, you have to think about how tired is that guy going to be, or how's he going to play when he's played 30 plays already in the first half of the game, where normally 30 plays may have been the whole ball game. For how's he going to play when he's tired? Or you have a quarterback that hadn't really been hit since last season, or how's he going to play when he gets hit and is, like I said, a couple fingers may be numb on his throwing hand, or his shoulder is really hurting when he takes a shot in the ribs. How's he going to play if you got a passing play call the very next play? So and some guys, they live for that, because you just, especially at the quarterback spot, since those guys are not getting hit during practice, you don't see how well they extend plays, or how they just get things going and make the sidearm throw that they didn't show in practice, but they was like, hey, man, I had to get the ball out there. I saw this. Or, a guy just makes the right check at the right time from the quarterback spot. So it's just, that's one of the big things that people don't see or understand, like how guys can, hey, man, big environment, big game, they band playing, cheerleader screaming, mom and dad in the stands. None of that phases those guys. But some guys, you can just see that look in their eyes, almost like, man, I need an asthma pump out here. They can't catch their breath almost.
Right. Start to hyperventilate and everything, and that's not a good sign. Now, Coach, you just hit on something here recently. When you have guys who are just like calm, cool, and collected regardless of what's going on, and they don't necessarily hear the crowd. They know the crowd is there, but it's like everything zones out, and you don't really hear anything, but everything is laser focused. I don't know if you've ever experienced that, and you're aware of what's going on, you're keeping up with the pace of everything, and we call it the zone. When you get a guy like that, especially at that quarterback position, there's nothing they can't complete at that time.
Man, I can give guys a perfect example. The year we won the championship, KJ Black was not our starting quarterback. He came in for the guy's name was Jay, I want to say, and even in practice. Now, I watch as much film as everybody, but KJ, it just, he was laid back to the point where I think some guys thought he didn't care, but he was so confident in his ability that he understood that, like, man, all I got to do is just, if they let me in this game, or they let me play, we're not going back to Jay. But he didn't show that same vigor in practice, I want to say, because you don't see that intensity level in practice. As much as we blitzed them and everything, but when them lights came on, it was one of those, oh man, we might have found us something here, guys, when he did end up going in the game to play. So for some guys, it's just nothing bothers them, and it's almost like, man, does that guy even have a pulse? But Panther fans gonna know that Joker KJ Black, when he came in to play, people just thought, oh, he transferred and started immediately. No, he didn't. But when he got his chance to play, it was like, Jay, you stay over here with us and let KJ get us to the championship.
Right. Now, Coach, every now and then, and I know that especially at the quarterback position, it's about the mechanics, it's about the footwork, it's about the motion. But every now and then, there's a guy that'll come through, and he does everything that appears to be wrong, but he has effect on the field. Do you try to change that guy, or do you just leave a guy like that alone and say, hey, man, if it's working for him, let it work?
Well, it's certain things that you see. If you think it's going to be a problem down the line, you may try to change. But, some guys, everybody didn't go to the same quarterback guru. It used to be some quarterback coaches would teach the quarterback, hold the ball by your ear the whole while and have a short delivery. Well, Doug had a different concept of teaching his quarterbacks how to throw. Now you see some quarterback coaches tell guys, look, man, don't even find the threads because there's so much quick game. It's like grab the football and make a throw. I don't care where your thumb is. I don't care how you holding the ball. You just get it out there to the guy that's open. So it's different philosophies of how much do I want to try to correct. But if you see that it's going to be a problem down the line, then you definitely try to correct it. Like I see some guys that throw a lot off their back foot, and as they, I guess, mature or get older, if they don't really have the arm strength, then or if they playing in the rain, that ball is going to flutter on them instead of getting there. Or if they playing into the wind, that ball is not going to travel like it would with no wind. So it's some things that hey man, let's try to drive the ball here. And if you just getting the ball out to the flat, then I don't care how you get it there. But anything over 10 yards, let's try to work on these mechanics, because in the long run, the further down the field you throwing the ball, the worse your mechanics are, the more offline that throw is going to be.
Yes, sir. And look, this is going to probably be my final question for this week, Coach. I'm an old bang, bang, beat 'em up type guy. I'm old middle linebacker. Mm-hmm. And it irritates me to no end that you could have a 4th and 1 or goal line situation and we go into the spread. Do we even know how to play big anymore? When I say we, I'm talking about everybody.
Well, I think the biggest thing, you have to look at your roster, because most of the kids that used to play tight end, now because of the spread, either they may be an offensive tackle, or they playing defensive end, or they playing H-back. So you're not seeing a whole lot of guys that were the 6'2", 6'3", 220 to 240 guys playing tight end anymore. They usually, like you say, they playing defensive end, maybe an H-back, but you don't see them playing tight end, because if you have a slower guy playing on your offense, you only have 3 receivers on the field usually if you have a tight end, or maybe even 2. So you don't see a whole lot of tight ends on anybody's roster because of what they are doing. And then the other thing is, it's almost like if the spread got us down there, then let's see if we can get it in with that. But those corners do get a lot shorter. You see a wider variety of blitzes. And then also, too, you see the defensive linemen, sometimes when it's short yardage situation, they're not trying to get upfield. They're just trying to dive into the knees of the offensive line so they don't get penetration. Then they just let the linebackers clean everything up over the top. So, that it's a big question that, the crazy thing about it, a lot of women ask that question. Like, why are they running up the middle sometimes? Or why if we need 1 yard, why are we snapping it backwards 5 yards to go back up to where we started from? So that's just I guess some people just say they're going to live and die by what got them there. But I tell you what, it's nothing more demoralizing than having the ball run on you repeatedly, whether it's from double tight wing T option. It's nothing more demoralizing to the defense to have the ball being run down their throat.
Absolutely. Now, Coach, I'm about to jab at you, man. Did I just ask a female question in your opinion?
Man, I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying the thought process. You know how if you watch a game with a woman, I'll just say my daughter, because she wants to learn football, but she was like, well, why do they do that? All those people why are they running right there? Because they only need a yard. And actually, a while back at 2 schools I've been at, we had football clinics/camps for women, so now they can come in and it's sort of like, how do we teach you to watch the game with your significant other without getting on his nerves with the questions that you may ask? So, all right, this is why you see people doing what they doing on TV. And, we talk about even why are the numbers where they are, why the hashes are where they are, but just that why are they running and all those people up there, it's, why not just try to get to the outside? Then as soon as you run a toss play, they need to run the ball up the middle. It's those type of things. And to be honest with you, when I go to games, especially when I go to college games, I usually go down on the sideline to watch games because I don't want to sit in the stands and hear people either berate the coaches or the players, and especially on the high school level too. I walked out of the state championship one year, and the team lost one game, and the fans from that school was talking about how they coach couldn't coach. I'm like, come on, man, you lost in the state championship by 3 points, but now all of a sudden your coach can't coach. So it's it's a variety of things that people say, but that why they running here and why they doing that question is the biggest one that gets to people.
Okay, so are you saying that you see the field better on the sideline versus them being up high?
Nah, I actually don't see it better. I just don't want to hear things. That's the biggest reason why I do it, because it's just something about the coaching me. My dad was a coach, so it was almost like if just say one of the guys on my team was talking about the coach, they talking about my dad, and that ain't good, So
right,
and I hate hearing parents or other students berate the players on the field or just talk about the coaches. Man, it is a hard job, and guys make decisions. And, you just try to live with them. But just the listening to that, to me, it doesn't suit me well, because I am ready to defend.
Yeah, well, you know what, Coach, and this is not rehearsed at all, but you just reminded me of the character that you have, which I'm very appreciative of. And it was during the Labor Day Classic. And, of course, we're playing Texas Southern. And there was a game. With the game, we had to fight back to get into. And fought back. And kid went to kick the ball off. And he miskicked the ball. Mm-hmm. And it looked like you were trying to do an onside kick. And, man, I could remember the heated arrows that were in your direction. And I don't know if you recall, you said, Prince, man, I didn't call an onside kick. The kid just miskicked the ball. But you never said anything publicly. And you recall that?
Yes, I do. I very much. And the crazy thing about it, the next year, I end up working with the guy that made the game-winning field goal. So it was, like say, those things happen sometimes. You'll see some, just say Michigan, I think they lost to somebody, the punter. Michigan State lost to Michigan, the punter. They snapping it, trying to kick it. He drops the ball, and they pick it up and run it in for a touchdown. So those things happen. But, I used to always try to tell people, especially depending on how they came to me or some of the other coaches, look, man, we are men before we are coaches. If you wouldn't go to somebody else on their job and talk to them that way, especially my wife and kids around, then don't do that to somebody. Don't do that to another coach. That's my biggest thing why I don't like, I would say, sitting around and listening to some of the bickering. But, like I say, people feel like they pay their $15 or $20 to get in the game. They can say whatever they want, but I'm not of that opinion.
Right. Well, Coach, it's been another fantastic ride, sir, and I want to give you some closing thoughts and comments as we finish this segment out, sir.
Yeah, I was thinking about how this SWAC West in particular is going to come down. I was thinking earlier, somebody might win the SWAC West with 2 to 3 losses on their side. I'm thinking 2, but somebody, depending on how it goes with the cannibalizing of the conference on this side, it may be 3 or a 3-loss team can get in with the. You don't know what team is going to show up when Prairie View and Texas Southern play, or when Southern and Texas Southern play. The Gremlins still going to have a say in it when it's all said and done. Even Pine Bluff is going to have something to say. You think about last year, late in the season, Mississippi Valley had something to say about who played in the SWAC championship game. So it's all those types of things that, you have one team that may be not so motivated. You have one team that may have a couple of injuries pop up late in the season, a suspension or 2 here or there. All those types of things going to go into who's going to end up playing in the SWAC championship game. So, like I say, don't be surprised if somebody. I'm pretty sure on the West, nobody's going to go through with only 1 loss. I'm thinking 2 losses can get you there, and maybe even 3, depending on who you lose to and by how much. It's going to be some blood pressure medication being sold late in the season on a variety of different
I know so well, Coach. Well, look, man, we truly, truly appreciate you joining in with us. He is Coach HEISH Northern, football analyst here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. I am the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. Don't forget that you can follow me on X at the Mike Prince Show. Subscribe to the YouTube channel at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. And you can also join in on our 24-hour stream by visiting the website at obnradio.com. My time has come where I must exit stage left. So until the next time, you guys be blessed. And we'll see you on the other side.